What's up, guys? So today I just want to walk you through both trades that I took on the S&P 500 micro. So the first one I took was a long that actually resulted in $500 of profit, and then the second was a short that resulted in $1,000 of profit, so closing 1,500 for the day. And both were the exact same setup, and I'll show you every single thing that I did and saw that resulted in me taking the trades and targeting my profits. So the idea around the trade is actually pretty simple. When price goes too far away from the VWAP average, which is the yellow line, it actually decides to come back to it and rebalance. So VWAP is the average price that people paid throughout the day. And here you can see that it's really stretched far away from the VWAP. And I'm looking for a trade to rebalance. So the way that I actually know it's going to turn and reverse is a few things. Either buyers or sellers are getting trapped at the extreme, and the delta stops backing up the move entirely with the price action. And I also use the heat map to see where the resting orders are so that I know where to target and take my profit. So I actually have three charts up at a time. I have the 5-minute footprint for my general bias and bigger picture. And then I have my 1 minute for the timing of entry. And then I have the DeepDOM heat map for the resting orders to target liquidity. So let's get into the first trade that I took. So about 20 minutes into the session, the S&P just sells off completely and drops way below the VWAP average. And this is the overextension I've been talking about. We're sitting far underneath the average, and the sellers are still leaning on it and trying to push it lower. And you can see this fat bulk of volume in orange on the left, and then the pink line is also the POC. So we're looking to rebalance back into that area since that's where the most volume has been traded throughout the day. So as you can see, we're way below it now, and which tells me we're overstretched to the downside. And I'm watching to see when buyers are stepping in as they're coming in down lower. So now I actually switch into the 1 minute footprint, and each candle actually shows me what's traded at every single level via the bid and ask. And down towards these lows, sellers just kept hitting the bid, candle after candle, trying to crack lower and push price lower, but the price doesn't go lower at all. Every time the buyers soak it up, and as you can see, we held right there. So now these sellers are trying to keep shorting the lows, and they're getting trapped because they're not going any lower. And this is what confirmed my entry. So as you can see, there's a bunch of little numbers. So the orange is the volume at the bottom, those three boxes at the bottom for each candle. And then I use the bottom one as well, which is all the way bottom, which is the delta percentage for each candle. So as we can see, it's not getting any bigger. And that's basically who's in control at the time during the candle. So it's just a difference in delta between the buyers and sellers. So before I get in though, I'm already looking for limits to target towards the upside in this trade specifically. As we can see, there's a bunch of resting limits above for sellers, which is and the darker red it is, like the more highlighted red, the more amount of limits there are. So once I see that the selling is drying up down toward the bottom, I actually go long with 15 contracts and right off the lows. And my stop just goes just a tick under the low so that I'm protected by the trapping of sellers. And if I'm wrong for any reason, I'm just out for $500 and I'm targeting about 3R, but the R isn't actually the target. It's not always a 3R. Um, it's more about where price is looking to go based on the heat map and just general VWAP bias. So here we can see sellers are still trapped. The delta is rising throughout all the 1 minute candles. Um, and we're seeing it keeps going higher and higher. And then these boxes I marked out are where most of the volume is done within the 5-minute candle. So we're looking to tap those zones and then rebalance upwards. So it's just a little retrace area. So here we can see the sellers got trapped again, and that just covers my bias even more that it's going to continue to go up. So I'm holding now. And then I also drag my profit to where it got retraced before. And here it almost hit my TP, um, but obviously it retraced down and I made $500. Now the good part is the same exact thing works the flipped way around for seller action. So later in the day, price does the total opposite. As we can see, it pushed higher and we rally way too far above the VWAP in the like 7,460s, and now I'm looking for a short opportunity. Back down on the 1 minute, I see these highs near the buyers. They just keep lifting the offer, paying up to get in, chasing it all the way to the top. And same as before, price just stops going up. Buyers keep buying, but we're not actually pushing price higher or making any new highs. So now I know that it's done for buyers and they're getting trapped now. So long right into that spot, won't push anymore. The delta calls it again, and we print a new high, but the delta rolls over and goes negative again. So control just flipped from the buyers to the sellers, and that's what I short off of. So we could see the flip right there. This time the resting orders are on the heat map, and they sit just below us, as you can see the giant red orders below. And the same idea as the long applies to the short. So I go short 15 contracts again, risking about $450. So just the profits I've made throughout the session. And if we break out over that, I want to be out because I'm clearly my bias is wrong. Um, so the same deal, I gotta sit through some chop up near the highs, and then the trapped buyers never get to push any breakout, and then the delta keeps going negative and negative and negative, and then I stay short until it rebalances. I actually target the first VWAP just because I was about done with the session, um, and then we roll over under. I mark out again the box of where all the big seller action was done throughout the 5 minute, retraces straight to that, and then it continues lower, and I hit my profit for the day.